Hola, buenas tardes a todos. I would like to say thank you again to the Secretaría de Innovación, Ciencia y Tecnología for the invitation to talk at Gamerland 2020. I'm glad to be able to share a bit about my work experience with you today and to talk about what to expect as a game designer in the industry. And as I was informed that the audience of this conference is mostly young, my main goal here is to inform and hopefully give you the will to know more about the game designer's work. I will quickly introduce myself. So I'm Caroline Bitterli. I'm a French game and narrative designer. I started my career at Ubisoft Worldwide headquarters in Paris as an editorial game designer. And there I oversaw the design direction of 17 games in collaboration with Ubisoft's top management and the worldwide game directors. Then I was game designer on Detroit Become Human on the PS4 at Quantic Dream in Paris. I was in charge of the design of 9 chapters of the game. And then I most recently specialized as a quest designer on Horizon Forbidden West at Guerrilla in Amsterdam. As a legal disclaimer before we start the core of the subject, I will only be speaking for myself and not for my former employers. The games that I will be depicted in my presentations are only examples to illustrate visually my experience as a game designer and are not games that I directly worked on. I will not directly talk about the game I worked on for confidentiality purposes. So what is game design? Well, game design is the art of creating a game experience. And game experience can be very diversified. So can be the game designer's work. And what is the role of the game designer? Well, it's like 50% design and 50% communication. It can be depicted as creating a cohesive game experience and guiding the team in the realization of this vision. And also expressing clearly your ideas about what the game is and assembling the pieces of the game made by the rest of the team. But what does the game designer do? So we are going to see that a little bit more. So this is a brief and very simplified summarization of a game production. So it's a macro representation of the role of the game designer during the production of a game. So some things might change a bit depending on companies and their processes, but overall, this is how every production looks like for a game designer. So first we have like the game concept phase. This is the first step of the project. That's the moment where the core team gets together to think about what the game can be about. So the core team is usually made of very few members of the future team. So mostly one for each main discipline. So for instance, the art director, animation director, creative director, technical director, and so on. So during this phase, the game designer defines and documents the game concepts. They do some brainstorming, either alone or in team, about ideas, game mechanics for his game concepts. They do some benchmarking. So a benchmark is a document where the game designer analyzes what other games do and how they do it, why they do it well, why they do it bad, and they analyzes the market and the competition to define where the game they will create will be positioned and how it will be different to what's already on the market. So at the end of this stage are defined what the game is about, its concept, its genre, its platforms, the audience, the victory and losing conditions, and the unique selling points, for instance. That is to say what makes the game unique. Then we have the vertical slice, which is like the second big stage of the project. So it's the stage where we improve what we prove if what we are planning for the game will work, if it will be fun, and if the team is capable of doing it. So we develop demos for that to prove this. During this phase, the game designer elaborates a game Bible, This is basically detailing through documentations, the systems, the main features, and game mechanics of the game, and how they will interact within each others. We also follow up the demos being created. And finally, as the last step, where a pitch document is created by the game designer. This document sums up quickly the game and the findings made so far. So it gives the direction that will be followed to realize the project. It can be used especially to pitch the project to a game publisher alongside showing the demos that have been made during this stage in order to get some fundings. It also helps giving a clear creative direction for the project. So at the end of this stage, we are ready to go to production. We feel confident in the project and in the ability of the team to create it. And we open the hires to increase the size of the team to be able to develop the game. Then we enter the production phase, with especially the pre-alpha phase, which is the beginning of production. So during this phase, the game designer communicates a lot about the game features, the systems and mechanics, and present them to the team. They start working with the team to have these features being implemented in the game according to the design. And the game designer starts preparing the first playtest to get feedback from potential players about the game systems. So the game designer works with the quality assurance department on the questions that will be asked to the playtesters and what will be tested during the playtests. Then we have the alpha phase, which is basically all the main game features should be in at the end of the alpha stage. They are in very rough, but they can be used and played entirely in the game. So for the game designer, they have a strong focus on tweaking the parameters of the game. They also take playtest feedback into consideration and start implementing them. We also continue doing some playtests throughout this phase. And as a lot of content gets in the game, this is also a heavy period where the game designers helps developing a lot the game. Then we have the beta stage. So at the end of the beta, all of the game features and contents are in the game with the art, VFX, sounds, signs and feedback. All the content is in. And so for the game designer, the phase of tweaking continues alongside with the feedback from the playtest being addressed and, of course, debugging. Then we have the polish phase. I think the name of this phase says it all. We add the last brush of shining in the game and we fix the last bugs we can before the gold master. And so the gold master signs the end of the production. The game is graved on disc that will be sent to do copies and produce the physical versions of the game with their box. Then they will get delivered in shops a few weeks later. All of these phases include tests and iteration loops on every aspect of the game. It's very rare, I would say almost impossible, to nail things right on the first time we do it. It's just part and parcel of the game dev process of a game. So let's talk about the tools the game designer uses. So first you have the game engines with visual scripting. So the game designer doesn't write the lines of codes to program the game, but they use this tool to script prototypes and work on the game. You also have the Jira software, which is a software for medium to big size productions. And that's where everyone enters bugs they find. Then the team tracks if they have been fixed and if each members of the team can be assigned to a bug according to their area of expertise. We also use Word to create a lot of documentation. We also have Excels to track the values of the game and be able to balance them, for instance. We also use a lot of PowerPoints to do some presentations to the team. And of course, Photoshop to do some schemas and explanations visually. I gave concrete names of softwares, but there are a lot of equivalents that are also used. We also have flowcharts softwares. It's used to represent game systems. So for instance, it's used to represent the behavior of the expected behavior of a game mechanic depending on the action of the player in the game. And it can also be used to represent branching narrative path of a game, for instance. So I will talk a little bit more about the type of experience I had as a game designer and what exactly does a game designer in AAA production do in particular. But what is concretely a AAA production? So usually it's $1 million budget game production it's very heavy in technology. It launches on the latest console generations usually, and also it can launches on PC. It can be developed on PC as well. It's 2 to 5 years of developments approximately to create the game. And it's a team of about 200 people, but it can be way more. And it's a production with potentially many production sites. For instance, Ubisoft does it with the Assassin's Creed franchise. There are several game studios in the world that are working on a single game at the same time. And a AAA production game is, for instance, games like Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed, The Witcher 3, or Horizon Forbidden West, or Horizon Zero Dawn as well, for instance. And in AAA productions, there are several game designers working on the same game. They have different tasks and responsibilities throughout the game development. So in a game design team, you can find a dedicated producer to organize the tasks of the team and the schedule. You have a lead game designer. You have various game designers with different levels. So you have game designer seniors, mid-level, and juniors, for instance. You can have a technical designer who assists the game designers technically with the game engine. You can also have some specialists about specific topics. And so basically all game designers report to the lead game designer who assigns tasks and review the work of the team. And where do we find the game designer in all of this? So usually you find it in the middle of the open space, so they can communicate very easily with a lot of people. And so there is no typical week for a game designer, but here are some of the tasks that you can likely encounter in a week of a game designer. So for instance, you can have to design a new game features to pitch to top management. You can have to design a camera system to define the binding for the controls of the game. You might have a review meeting of your work with your lead and the team. You can have to do a document to document a section of the game. You can be doing some testings of the in progress implementation of one of the systems you designed. You can have to send feedback to the team about the implementation that they did. You can implement various elements of the game yourself through scripting. You can have some debugging to do. You can have to present a new area of the game to artists and programmers. You can have to help the technical designer creating a pipeline of implementation for a new feature that you design. And you can have to teach, for instance, the new designer of the team about your game design process. So game designer is a fascinating work. I will talk to you about some of the anecdotes that I have as a game designer. So outside of the more classical things that a game designer is brought to do, I think you should also expect the unexpected. Because every game production is different, every game is different. So, for instance, for a game project, I had to go take dance classes on the Champs-Élysées to investigate a game concept and do some interviews of dance professors. So I had to prepare the questions and the things that I was looking for, so I could retranscript the best experience into the game that I wanted to convey. And I never took dance classes in my life before, but that's great because it's a job that makes you discover new things and adapt and think about new ways to create game. And for another project, I worked on a fitness game. So 3 times a week, I would do sports session in the game to check the development process and the development progress, and check the tracking of movements with the team in the meeting room. So I would compete with my boss on sports challenges. So it was a fun experience that made us lose a lot of weight after a few months. I also worked on a karaoke game. So I locked myself in a meeting room and sang to test the voice tracking of the game and overall experience to give feedback to the team. And so even if we can specialize in specific game genres, game designer is also about adapting to different types of gameplay experiences. I also had to teach game design methodologies to directors coming from foreign countries for a 2-day workshop. So I was just entering the game industry and I was led to teach something to these very experienced people with 20 plus years in the industry. So that was something very inspiring to do. So you get to experience very nice and empowering moments as a game designer. And also I was once presenting my content to director for a review meeting. And it turned out that the producer of one of my favorite game studios was in town and visiting the studio, my studio. So they sat in the room and attended my presentation. And it's great because it was a studio I had a lot of admiration for. So my point is that the industry is very small, so you always have to do your best work. You never know who will be in the room, you never know who will see your work, and it might be the people who created your favorite games. But you should also know that every company is different. They have their own process and workflow. They have like the size of the team is different. Some might give you a lot of creative freedom and some other less. They might have their own visions and their own projects. So you will have to adapt to each of them as you go, but it's a very fun process. So let's talk about the qualities of a great game designer. I think you should be a great communicator because you should be able to communicate through schemas, texts, presentation with PowerPoints, and also orally. You have to be both creative and rational. It goes without saying that you have to be creative, but you can't afford to just go with crazy ideas and let people in the team handling them. You have to be rational enough to know how you will achieve your creative vision and your ideas concretely with the team. You have to have a sense of abstraction. You have to understand complex game systems and how they can work together without having to create always prototypes for them every time, because budgets in game productions aren't unlimited, unfortunately. You have to be curious and open-minded. You will never stop to learn in your career. So you also need to be ready to relocate to new cities and countries and learn from different cultures and companies as well. I think you have to be humble. You have to put your ego on the side. You might need to understand that there is a difference between you as a person and your work. So you can't afford to be annoyed if someone criticizes your work. We are not superheroes. We can't know everything. We need each other to be better, and we all have something to learn. So as a professional, I think you can't afford to have a big ego, and instead you should always try to get better. You have to be open to feedback, improvements, and critics. You have to understand your colleagues' work. We work in interdisciplinary teams with artists, programmers, sound designers, business people, producers. So you need to know what you can expect from them or not, and how to communicate with them. Everyone has background and a language to communicate that is different. So basically you need to know what resources you have at your disposal to shape your vision to life. And finally, you have to have like a good general knowledge, like about religions, cultures, history, arts, video games. Like it's always extremely useful. I will add to this 3 principles to pave yourself a good way into the industry. So the first one is being proactive, like in your life, in your work, like you should be seeking to always improving yourself and doing more, like not staying put. Like environment and technology are always changing, so you need to be ready to learn new things. You have to be a team player. So this is about creating things in a team. So you all need each other to achieve your goal. So it's better to think about how you can make the work of other people around you easier and how you can better collaborate as you work on the game. And finally, you have to work hard. This is a worldwide industry, so even if you make your plans to only work in Mexico, there are very few companies here for hundreds of game development students graduating every year at the moment. So it's a competitive work on the market. If you are not ready to fight for yourself and work on your craft, you maybe not end up where you aim to go to. And finally, I would say that game designers are powerful content creators. They can use their craft to create highly engaging multiplayer competitive experiences, or they can use their craft for the better good by educating people and talking about our world, environments, and society subjects. They can let their voice be heard through unique, engaging, and renversing games experiences. I'm convinced that game designers can help changing the world for the better. It's a very inspiring work. We convey emotions, challenge the players, immerse them. We create unique relationships with players, and we can deliver unique, intimate storytelling through gameplay and have our own experience resonate with the players around the world, and so much more. You can specialize in specific types of games, and you can also specialize in a type of job too as a designer. And so to open on a bigger subjects, today I talked about the game designer's works, but there are other specializations in the area of design that you can also move towards too. They are displayed on screen, and I invite you to check them further in this, if this first overview of the designer's works made you want to know more. There might be a specialization that can fit you. And as we constantly need to learn about new subjects as game designers, here are some resources of information that I recommend on YouTube. So the first one is Extra Credits. It's about general talks about game development's principle and mechanics. You have toolkits, which does some analysis about various aspects of a given game. They get deeper into the game systems and mechanics. You have Noclips, which are documentaries about game studios, so you get to know more about how they work and what their story are, what their stories are. So it's very interesting to know more about game development processes. And you also have the GDC YouTube channel with free talks that happen at GDC, which is the biggest professional game event in the world. And you finally have Gamasutra websites where peers write about their craft of making games, and it's always interesting to check this out. So we reached the end of this small overview about the work of a game designer. I hope it helped you understand more about the game designer's works. I'm currently doing some consulting for games as a freelance game designer. So if you are interested to get game design, content, or narrative design consulting for your game, I invite you to go visit my online portfolio or to reach out to me either through my email address or my Twitter. Muchas gracias por su atención.